Okay, so welcome, listener, to this deep dive.
Hi there.
Today, we're getting into something pretty fascinating, I think.
Yeah.
How language learning materials, specifically a script, can be designed to feel like, well, like a real conversation, make it feel less like homework.
Right. More natural and fun, hopefully.
Exactly. We've got some source material, excerpts actually, from what sounds like a pretty big script.
Yeah, it's reportedly around 10,000 words called English Boost, Fun Conversations for Fast Learning. And the whole idea seems to be creating this friendly conversational feel. They even mention aiming for a smile-worthy vibe.
A smile-worthy vibe. I like that. So, okay, our mission here is to unpack that. Look at these examples and figure out how they're trying to achieve that fast learning through natural conversation. What are the actual methods?
What makes it tick, basically?
Yeah.
What are the key nuggets?
Well, the core idea that comes through is really mastering real-life conversations.
Okay.
So it's not just vocabulary lists. It's things like, jokes or acknowledging you might make a mistake. And putting the actual learning inside that conversational flow, not separate from it.
That makes sense. And you can kind of see that structure right away with the hosts they describe.
Oh, yeah, the two hosts, Alex and Lena.
Right. Alex is the native speaker, described as friendly, energetic, and Lena is the learner, curious and playful.
That setup itself kind of models the learning process, doesn't it? It gives you someone to relate to.
Totally, a guide. And where do they start? Right into the casual stuff.
Exactly. No messing around with super formal greetings. We see examples straight off, like, hey, name, what's up?
And typical replies like, not much, just binge watching Friends again. Or talking about, craving pizza.
It's immediately practical stuff, things you might actually say.
And what I find interesting is how they then break those down. They don't just throw the phrase out there.
Right. For what's up, Anna, they give the simple definition, how are you? But frame it as casual. Binge watching lots of episodes. Relatable, right.
Very. Especially Friends. And craving that strong feeling, usually for food. They explain it simply.
And they even touch on pronunciation nuances early on, like how wanna is just the informal way people say want to.
Yeah, that focus on spoken English, how it actually sounds, seems pretty central, not just the written rules.
Okay, so they've got the basic greetings and casual chat down, but where do they go next? Conversations are more than just what's up, right?
Absolutely. And this is where it gets quite clever, I think. They move into using stories, specifically using a narrative to practice grammar.
Ah, okay. Like context.
Exactly. The example given is a story about someone getting lost in Rome.
Oh, I think I saw that bit. Phone dying, ending up somewhere unexpected.
Yeah. Ended up in a tiny pasta shop, kind of by accident. It's a mini adventure.
A relatable travel mishap.
Right. And the point isn't just the story itself, it's how the script uses it.
How so?
It highlights the grammar within the story. So, pointing out past simple verbs like got lost or ended up, showing them used for finished actions in the past.
Ah, I see. So you learn ended up not just as a definition, but you see it happen in the story arriving unexpectedly at the pasta place.
Precisely. It defines the phrasal verb end up, unexpectedly arriving somewhere, but anchors it in that specific narrative moment. Makes it stick better, probably.
Yeah, that makes sense. You remember the story, you remember the grammar point tied to it. It's smart.
And they layer things, too. After the Rome story, there's a little cultural insight.
Oh, yeah.
About Italians gesturing a lot and how, waving your hands might actually help if you're lost there.
Huh. Okay, that's pretty cool. It connects the language directly to, like, a real-world cultural thing, makes it richer.
Yeah, it reinforces that language isn't just words and rules. It's tied to culture, to how people interact.
So beyond stories and culture, does the script tackle, like, the psychological side of learning? Because that's huge for people.
It seems so, yeah. They directly address confidence. Or rather, the lack of it sometimes. Mumbling when you're nervous.
Oh, definitely. That's a big one.
There's a whole section apparently titled, Fake It Till You Make It's Confidence.
Okay. Catchy. And practical, hopefully.
Seems like it. It offers actual strategies. Things you can do.
Like what?
Well, simple stuff, actually. Like consciously speaking a bit slower.
Right. Gives you time to think.
Exactly. And using filler words, it even lists examples like, well, or,
So giving yourself permission to pause naturally.
Yeah. And get this, even just smiling, the script suggests it kind of tricks your brain into feeling more confident.
Huh. That's interesting, like a little psychological hack.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It taps into that mind-body connection, I guess. Smiling can actually shift your mood a bit.
Okay, I can see that. Any like active practice stuff mentioned?
Yep. There's an example of a pronunciation drill. Saying a phrase like, I'm learning English, and that's awesome, out loud, 3 times.
Right. Getting you to actually say things actively, not just passively reading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Making it physical.
So it sounds like they build up from simple phrases, use stories for context and grammar, add culture, tackle confidence. How do they kind of wrap things up or encourage follow through?
Good question. The structure includes a closing section with a listener challenge.
Ah, homework. But hopefully fun homework.
Seems like it. The mission is pretty simple. Compliment someone in English that day.
Oh, nice. Low stakes, high reward potentially.
Totally. And they give easy examples too, like, I like your style, or great coffee choice. Very usable.
Simple stuff.
And then it encourages the listener to think about how it went, reinforcing this idea that small wins, big progress.
Yeah, that's crucial, isn't it? Breaking down this huge task of learning a language into tiny, achievable steps makes it feel possible.
Definitely. And then those end notes you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
they give a glimpse of what else is in the full script.
All right, more dialogues, quizzes, and bloopers.
Bloopers, yeah, which I thought was great.
That's brilliant. It just completely normalizes making mistakes, doesn't it? Takes the pressure off.
Exactly. Leans right into that smile-worthy vibe they were talking about. Makes it feel human.
And there's bonus content, too. Idioms, slang.
Things like hit the books, or even modern slang like no cap. So covering different registers of English.
Formal and informal. And crucially, they mention including real mistakes.
Yeah, like the learner host, Lena. Maybe forgetting a word like embarrassed and having to ask again.
That's so important. Showing that it's okay to forget, it's okay to stumble, it's part of the process.
It's a deliberate choice, the source says, to make listeners feel safe trying things out themselves.
So the source itself kind of spells out why this works or why they think it works.
Pretty much, it highlights the natural pace, the mix of slang and more formal English, and critically, that encouragement of mistakes, creating a safe space.
It sounds less like just learning rules and more like learning how to communicate, confidence and all.
That seems to be the philosophy, yeah. Fluency and feeling comfortable trying things out are just as important as getting every grammar point perfect.
Okay, so looking back at all these pieces from the English Boost script, we can really see a clear, intentional approach.
Definitely. It's not random.
It starts with useful everyday language. Then it cleverly embeds grammar and vocabulary into things like stories, which makes it more memorable.
And provides those really practical tips for the tricky parts, like confidence in pronunciation, not just ignoring them.
Right. It uses concrete examples. It acknowledges the struggles learners face, like feeling nervous or making errors. And it pushes you to actually use the language immediately with those small challenges.
Yeah, the emphasis really feels like it's on the flow of conversation, on feeling okay participating, not just on, ticking off vocabulary lists.
So connecting this back to you, listener, this deep dive really shows one specific way someone's trying to crack the code on language learning, making something complex feel more intuitive, more engaging.
It highlights how much value they place on context, on narrative, on making the learner feel psychologically safe enough to try, and even to fail sometimes.
Which does make you think. We've seen how breaking down communication skills works here for language, using simulated conversations, embracing mistakes, building confidence.
Yeah.
What other complex skills, maybe something completely different outside of language altogether, could really benefit from being taught this way?